Hey, Pretty Girl Club. So I came across this bullshit right here. It says Candace Owens says Kamala Harris slept her way into politics. I find it interesting how instead of discussing Trump or all of the other men who have had so many bad things happen, like a lot of guys have harassed women. No, instead of focusing on that, people want to focus on Kamala's vagina. And this goes right back to what I talk about all the time, how whenever you are viewed as desirable, whenever you're viewed as pretty, people will always let it slip out somehow. So, one of the main ways that it slips out is people randomly bring up your sex life. They want to know who you've been sleeping with, how many times, and who are you creeping with, and who did you let hit, all this bullshit. And by the way, if you're new to my channel, be sure to check out my videos about the MLS whore stereotype because this plays right into what I talk about on here all the time. But let's look at the video.
Well, every time that someone tried to interject the truth about Kamala, which is that she slept her way to the top. She was with some 6-year-old man, got her start in the political career. And
Okay, so we've got Candace Owens saying that she slept her way to the top. She was with a 60-year-old man, and that is how she got her political career started. Even if that's the case, so what? Not every woman is going to have these conservative beliefs kind of like Candace Owens. Sometimes these pick me types of women get so upset and so ashamed if another woman utilizes a different social climbing strategy. And I'm not even saying that this stuff about Kamala Harris is true, but let's say that it is. So what? If so, she should actually write a book and she would have a way bigger YouTube channel than everybody online. I mean, if she slept her way to the top, if that was her social climbing strategy was to date and sugar her way to the top, then she was very successful because now she is running for president. So even if what she's saying is true, it still doesn't negate the fact that she's a success. And I feel like a lot of times women will try to shame other women using their sexuality. Like they will try to shame them and say, "Well, you're a whore and you're a 304, you're a slut, you're a thought." And they're doing that because they don't want you to be able to be successful and also be sexy at the same time. Like, that's impossible. It's not possible for you to have pretty privilege, to have intelligence privilege, to have social climbing privileges, and to be sexually desirable at the same time. That's just too triggering for basic Betties. And the fact that Candace Owens does not have a history of talking about men's sex lives in her political party, but suddenly when it's Kamala, she wants to randomly bring up how she slept her way to the top as if that's supposed to invalidate every other thing she's ever done. A person can be a hoe and be smart. I mean, let's be honest. And I'm not saying that people should go out and be hoes, but it's like, let's say that Kamala is a hoe. Okay, well then she's a smart ass hoe. She should make a book called How to Be a Smart Ass Hoe and Become the President. That would be a multi-million dollar bestseller. So even if she did sleep her way to the top, what does that prove? If anything, all it proves is that she was able to do that, and that's the society that we live in. And also, slept with who? Like, who are the men? Why is there nobody calling out the men? Why is the woman always the one that gets demonized, especially someone who has this particular phenotype or someone that is very successful or someone that gets into like this position of power? It's giving jealousy. It's giving, I'm jealous of your political position, so I'm going to try to smear your name as much as I can.
and they would go, "Oh my gosh, how dare you say this? That's so sexist." Well, then suddenly on July 6th, the Daily Mail actually published a headline about the fact that Kamala Harris was, you know, thoughting through life. And they basically said she got her political start, her political upstart, because she was dating this guy, Willie, can't think of his last name right now. And he was married and he was in his 60s, and Kamala Harris was just a spring chicken. And that is how she entered the political scene. So
And again, even if this is how she entered the political scene, this should tell you more about the political scene as a whole rather than just this one person. So it's like if we're going to call people out and hold people accountable, why not hold everyone accountable? Why not hold the person in the position of power accountable? Because let's say Kamala was working for a guy and then he asked her to sleep with him or something. Okay, well, he would be the one in the position of power, right? Sleeping your way to the top means that you are the one who is not in the position of power. And in order to get past the gatekeepers, the men, you have to be coerced into sex. So, why are we not coming for the ones who are doing the coercing? Why are we not coming for the ones who are coercing their employees or coercing interns into sleeping with them? Why is all of the smoke only for Kamala? Could it be because Kamala is on track to potentially be a president? Could it be because Kamala's popularity and visibility is much greater than Candace Owens will ever be?
She was not somebody who was a part of their ecosystem, but they tapped her in 2020 because they were like, oh, like the thing that we always say is that look at the Republican Party, it's so white and there's no diversity. And how are we going to be able to say that if we're running Joe Biden, who is
Okay, so now I find it interesting that she's bringing up race, trying to say that, like, the Republican Party is white and the Democrats are not as white, but still not super diverse. So her implying that Kamala is a diversity hire, I just find that to be very ironic coming from an unambiguous Black woman who is literally the token diversity hire for the Republican Party. And I'm not even political. I mean, I don't really have an opinion on this. I don't necessarily think one is better than the other, but I just feel like Candace Owens, you are using the diversity thing. Like you're using your phenotype to your advantage. That grants you visibility within your political party. So if Kamala's racial background grants her visibility within her political party, what's the problem? And it sounds like Candace is upset because maybe she had it harder. You know, maybe Candace Owens had it harder when it came to her success in the Republican Party. Maybe Candace had to like work harder and you know what they say, like you got to work twice as hard to get half as much and all this other bullshit. So maybe she has this mindset of I had to work harder than Kamala and you know she just gets to skate by. She's just thoughting through life. I didn't get to thought through life. I had to do all this work and get all these degrees and come on to YouTube and pander to all of these white Republican men. And Kamala, because of how she looks or because of her proximity to these men, she is just getting coerced into sex and basically she's thoughting her way through life. And now she's going to be the president. So this whole entire thing so far is just oozing with jealousy.
been extraordinarily wealthy his entire life and whose son is becoming extraordinarily wealthy while smoking crack simply because he's doing dirty deals in Ukraine. So what are we going to do? We're going to hire Kamala Harris. We're going to select Kamala Harris to be the vice president. And he's the only person I can think of. And then we can sell. I know that when she was sworn into Congress, she was talking about how she's an Indian, but we'll just sell the people like forget the Indian side. Like now she's back to Black.
So, do you see how she's now bringing up her fluid identity? So, Kamala's background, if I'm not mistaken, is Black, white, and Indian. So, Candace, she seems to be jealous of Kamala's fluid identity because she's randomly bringing this up. Kamala's not stupid. She knows the headlines that were published about herself. She knows what she was doing and what she was saying when she was in California. It's politics, for God's sakes. People are going to say and do things to appeal to whatever demographic will vote for them, depending on how people perceive you and depending on which community is celebrating you the most. They say go where you're celebrated, right? So if she was celebrated by the Indian community during that time and the Indian community wanted her to be their representation, why is that a problem? Imagine if Kamala had said, I'm not Black. I don't want to be represented as Black. I don't want to be seen as Black. The Black community would have had a fit. So she is damned if she does rep Blackness, and she's also damned if she doesn't. I mean, what is Kamala supposed to say? Is she supposed to pretend that her Black side of the family doesn't exist? Because that's going to look way worse. Didn't she go to an HBCU as well? Isn't she a part of an African American sorority? So is she supposed to just deny all that and erase all that? And what monoracial people don't understand about mixed race identity is that it's mixed. Okay, so your experience is mixed, the way that you're perceived is mixed, meaning some people perceive you as just Black, some people perceive you as biracial, other people perceive you as triracial. But I've noticed that she's bringing this up because she's attempting to ruin Kamala's credibility. And it's so funny because Kamala is closer to Candace Owens' phenotype than Donald Trump. So isn't it interesting how some unambiguous Black women like Candace, they would rather support a Republican white man or they'd rather support and divest to white men, but then have this animosity towards mixed race women. I've actually never heard Candace Owens talk about another woman's sexual past. So this is my first time ever seeing her speak like this because I thought she was more of a kind of Christian conservative type. So this vibe that she's giving off here, it's coming off extremely catty, and I've never seen Candace Owens like this. So that's why I wanted to make this video. A lot of women who think like this, they pedestalize your white side or they pedestalize white men. Candace Owen had no smoke for the white men who potentially coerced Kamala into sex, or the white men who were cheating on their wives or thoughting through life. She had no smoke for them, but all the smoke for Kamala. No smoke for the corrupt people in the Republican Party, but all the smoke for Kamala.
And the streets are talking, ha 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 ha. And that's what they did. So that is the only reason that Kamala Harris, they literally did not have another person that they felt could be the vice president and allow them to use the isms. You don't like her, you're a sexist. You don't think that she's amazing, you're a misogynist, deep-seated misogyny. You don't want this ticket to win. Is it because Kamala Harris is black? Kinda. I feel like it is. It's because you're a racist. So they just needed her to do the thing.
So that's actually false. They did not put her in her position because they were going to use the isms to protect her. Because so far, I actually have not seen anything where people are saying that others are being racist or colorist or texturist, featurist or misogynist or whatever towards Kamala. This is actually the first thing that I've seen. It's actually coming from a black woman. This is the first video that I've really come across that is gaining traction that is being misogynistic towards a woman of color. And also, this whole ism conversation, like I said, it's just fake outrage because notice how Candace Owens, she is calling people out saying that, oh, you're trying to protect yourself using the isms. And it's like, well, Candace, you protect yourself using the isms because you're a dark skinned, unambiguous black woman who's speaking on behalf of the Republican Party. So, by me even making this video response, I'm actually going to be accused of being colorist, texturist, featurist, and anti black against you. And it's funny how she's saying that Kamala is kind of like their token. And it's like, Candace, you're the token of the Republican Party. So guess what? Two can play that game. You're the token woman of color for the Republicans. And if Kamala's the token for the Democrats, then so be it. Then she's the token. Now what? How you like them apples? Are you mad because Kamala's tokenism took her farther in her political career than your tokenism? Because that's what it sounds like. This person says Candace ain't black either. So you know how they do that thing where it's like you're not like us? So it's funny how they try to use that talking point against like mixed race people. But now we've got a black person saying Candace ain't black because of her political views. We've got somebody else that said Candace slept her way to the bottom. It's like, yeah, if you're going to be thoughting, at least Kamala chose to, if she was even thoughting, which we don't even know is true, but if she was thoughting, she chose to thought her way to the top or thought her way into a political career. And where did your thoughting get you, Candace? You know what I mean? It's like, also, why do you even care? Why do you care what Kamala's doing with her pussy? Why do you care what these random people are doing in their sex lives? I mean, if you really care, then why didn't you call out the men? Why aren't you calling out people in the Republican Party? Why is it only Kamala? Anyway, what do you ladies think? Let me know in the comment section and I'll talk to you next time. Stay pretty, ladies.